Hey, welcome back to Good Guardian Canine Working Dog. My name is Alton. Thought I would share this Rottweiler video with you. It's a video that was done a few years back. I thought it was one of the best Rottweiler videos I've ever seen. I thought it was well balanced and a well put together video. It was executive produced by Derek Dario and also directed by Violet Wales. It was done a few years back, speaking of the conformation side of the dogs and also the historical aspect of the genetics of the dogs and the speaking on the working dogs as well. I hope you like this one. Remember to stay safe, take care of your family, take care of your dogs, enjoy your dogs, and I will see you in my next video.
Many people have the wrong idea of what a Rottweiler is. He's a wonderful friend, family member. My kids were born into Rottweilers. My grandson, they love this breed.
Very intelligent, very discriminating, safe with little children, will bite the burglar in a heartbeat, and knows the difference.
Lots of drive, lots of courage, and real willingness to work and please.
I can't say enough about how wonderful this breed is. They're people dogs. They want to be with you all the time. You can have a one-bedroom apartment, they're with you. You can have a 10-bedroom home with 50 acres, and they'll follow you from room to room. They're people dogs. They cannot be without people. Rottweiler's not a bad dog. It's the people that have these dogs. People make dogs.
And what wonderful dogs these people have made. From Nero to Otan, from Dingo to Doc, the Venuses, Apollos, and Adonises of their breed. In short, everything a judge appreciates.
Ja, ein guter Rüde, man kann natürlich vom Standard nicht sehr weit abweichen.
I like a dog that conforms to the standard. I like a dog of good type that has good bone. I like a dry dog, a well-muscled dog, a dog with a good top line, a dog that moves well because it's a working dog. A dog should be harmoniously built and flow together. And basically, I like a medium-sized dog, one that's around 66 centimeters tall and is closest to the standard. This is what I like.
I'm a firm believer in that the dog should look like the standard and work like the standard, no matter what the standard asks it to do.
But producing world-class specimens of Rottweilers such as these is no easy task. It begins with painstaking research.
Some of the things that got me interested in the lines that I'm involved in now and have been for the last probably 15 years now, is I started picking up German core books, which are a real tool, and I tried to use that as a tool because what it tells you is each dog in there, it explains the basic temperament and the conformation of the dog. By doing this, I looked at certain lines and certain dogs that I liked, and then from there I went to the next 2 years down the road, which showed what lines they were bred with and how those puppies came out. And I used this as a main breeding tool for which lines I was interested in.
Then, it's a matter of identifying a puppy with championship potential.
The question that's asked a lot of me is how do I pick a puppy for show or work, really? But probably the biggest thing is for working. When I pick my puppies, I pick a puppy that there's no real secret. 8 weeks old, it's a crapshoot. But what I do like to look for, I like a puppy that's outgoing, shows me a lot of temperament. If he reacts to a strange noise or something, is afraid of something for a second, that how he reacts to that thing that scared him. I like a puppy that recovers from it quickly. I like to see him have a little ball drive already. I like to see him, if I'm out sweeping around, that they're grabbing that broom. I like to see these things. These are things that, but that doesn't necessarily always mean that those puppies turn out to be the best working dogs. As they get a little older, one thing I insist on having in my dog is a lot of ball drive, which constitutes in the play and prey drive. This is something that I feel is very important because I train through those drives, especially in the obedience part of it. I think that's extremely important for me and my working dogs, that they have that play drive and prey drive together. They're usually very eager to please you, and it makes it easy for you to reward them and to please them, and they're willing to please you just for a simple ball. This is one of the reasons I like this kind of drives in the dogs. Another thing I feel is real important is socializing puppies. By socializing your puppies, they become secure with their surroundings. By them being secure with their surroundings as puppies, they become secure with their surroundings as adults. Many people are very surprised, even Schutzhund judges, when I go compete with two males and I let them both out of the crate at the same time. They're standing next to me and they're walking around with me. They're surprised that two males can get along. The dogs are very confident in their own self. This is a big part of dog aggression. They don't need to act tough because they know and they feel that they are tough, so they don't need to prove it all the time, but also they know by training and being socialized that it's not acceptable for them to be aggressive toward other dogs unnecessarily. And this, I think, is part training, part breeding, and part socialization. I think it all plays hand in hand.
After selection, the real work starts. Training, an end towards which some people will go to any length.
I decided about 2.5 years ago that I needed to be a decoy, or at least to try to be a decoy, because I thought it might make me a better trainer for my dogs on the other end of the leash. It turned out to be so much fun that I stuck with it. In the very beginning, catching a very fast dog was frightening. There was one moment when I was concentrating too much on where my feet should be, and ended up, when I caught the dog, both feet were off the ground, and I did this fantastic flying crash. But things got better, fortunately. When you first begin working as a decoy, you should work titled dogs who are calm and very clean, because then you can learn your techniques without having to worry about other variables like a dog being dirty or a dog who doesn't know what it's supposed to do.
But title dogs aren't just born. They're made by some of the leading authorities on the breed.
Once you get inside a Rottweiler's head and understand where this breed is coming from, you can do anything with them. You really can. And it's the best background I could recommend to anyone who wants to show or do anything with conformation showing. Obedience is it. Experience it and learn it.
One of the first people to recognize the full potential of the breed was Muriel Freeman, whose life has been devoted to showing the world what these dogs can do.
Meryl Freeman has been involved in Rottweilers for a long, long time. She was first introduced to Rottweilers by her late husband, Bernard Freeman. When she first saw them, she thought they were very ugly dogs, and she didn't want any part of them. But of course, that changed over time, and now she would never be without one. She's given a lot to the breed. She's been given all her time and her energies in helping the breed grow and helping to teach people about the breed. She was the one who brought the OFA into action, so the dogs had to be x-rayed. Their hips had to be x-rayed at 24 months in order that they wouldn't have hip dysplasia. She was also the one who started the American Rottweiler Club, and she was the first delegate for the American Rottweiler Club in the AKC.
It's a legacy that's carried on today by such noted practitioners as Eckhart Sahlquist and Xaver Meixner.
Xaver Meixner has made more contributions in Germany than just about anybody. He's titled a zillion dogs. He's bred God knows how many club Siegers, club Siegerins. This man, what he does with his dogs is just unbelievable. And he works with his dogs. He deserves everything he's gotten with these dogs. He gets up in the morning, takes them to the forest, does it 3 times a day, walks with his dogs, trains his dogs, loves his dogs. Great person. If you could see Xaver Meixner and his routine every day, it never varies. He gets up, gets his car, hitches the dog hanger on there. A dog hanger is where the dogs go into. There's 4 of them. He loads it up, takes a ride to the woods, takes each dog out individually, walks them, brings them back home. He trains every one of his dogs. They go training on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday and Sunday, the whole family. And he's out there all the time. It never varies. He does all the training. He's helped so many people over there. And here's a person who has tremendous knowledge and shares it with anyone and everyone there. What drives Xaver Meixner and Rottweiler is a genuine love for the breed. That's what drives them.
These world-recognized trainers are responsible for some of the finest dogs ever produced, names that are legend to the Rottweiler connoisseur.
Wotan, he was a very good show dog, but more than anything, he was a great working dog, or he is a great working dog. He's still alive. He has many scores, V scores, 290s several times. 292 was his highest Schutzhund score. He's got 99 points in protection, multiple 100 points in tracking, 96, 97 points in obedience. This dog was a 130-pound dog that was as agile and quick as any small dog.
I showed a dog for Radio Ranch. His name was Ari from Hembergbrucker. He was a 7.5-year-old dog. When I walked into the backyard, I got goosebumps. My God, was he magnificent at 7.5 years old. Santo from Schweigerwappen was a unique dog. I had seen a lot of the great dogs from Germany. This dog was a special dog. On his Schutzhund 1, he scored a 292, which is quite impressive. He had a ZTP, Schutzhund 3, and he was gekort. He was an AKC champion, a dog that could work very well, and yet his greatest of all was his temperament. He could be put after coming off of a sleeve in the middle of a soccer field, and little kids could come and sit on him and play with him, and all he would do was lick him. This is a fantastic temperament. It was a wonderful thing to see in a dog.
In the years gone by, I think that the dog that Felicia Lubrick brought to this country from Germany, I think it was the 85 or 86 Clubsieger, Bronco von Raberfeld. I think that was the greatest dog to ever escape the Germans at that time. I really do. I really loved that dog. He was just overwhelming. They loved his movement. He wasn't the dog that some dogs are today that come from Germany, but he had a charisma about him that really just blew me away. I loved that dog.
A dog that was brought to America in Germany, Benno von der Schwarzenheide. In Germany, he was bred to the proper bitches. He produced unbelievable. When you look at the last 7 or 8 Clubsieger shows, anything and everything that won there was related, went down to Benno. That's unreal. In America, you'd have to say Harass von Sophienbusch. He's the father of the American Rottweiler, imported by Rodston Kennels, Joan Clem.
But perhaps the greatest dogs of all were all descendants of the same line, the royal family of Rottweilers, the Eulenspiegels. The story of this remarkable lineage begins with a very special person.
When Mary Ann Burns began breeding, she began with a strong line of bitches. She had Ada, Eulenspiegel, she had Gerda. The bitches she bred were very strong and they gave a lot to the breed itself. A lot of her dogs were a foundation for a lot of other people's lines because of the strength in the brood bitches that she had. One of her great bitches was Barbel von Grievensburg, and that produced Dolly, who were the grandparents of Evis Eulenspiegel. Evis Eulenspiegel was, in my mind, and a lot of people's mind, the greatest dog, Rottweiler, that there is still today. He keeps coming up over in people's pedigrees because he was descended down from dogs that were very clean, and when I say clean, I mean they were free of a lot of genetic faults. He was known for putting on bone and substance in the pedigree. He didn't have any major health problems. He had longevity. People say he was a real tough dog, but I find the dogs that he's produced and down from his lines haven't been bad as far as temperament, and that they've been easy to deal with.
When you trace back the roots. He's the father of Nero, he's the father of Dingo, and so on. Dingo from Schweigerwappen, big dog, fantastic temperament, loved the whole world, lived to be an old man. Nero from Schloss Richtheim, one of the greatest dogs I ever saw. That was a dog to see. My, was he proud. Was he arrogant.
Olio looked very much like Nero, and he was strong-boned, powerful head, and a very muscular dog, athletic. Also, the working qualities of the dog were very much true to the line. Very strong willingness to please, with good courage, good fighting drive, things that I was looking for. I took this dog from a 0 to Schutzhund 3. He's IPO 3. He was a good working dog. He was bred to a variety of lines in this country. He became an American Rottweiler Club gold producer. Because he was line bred so strongly on Eva's, and he carried those characteristics, for outside people he did very well for. And what I did is I went to Germany again, and I bought females that I thought could enhance him. With these females, like Delke von Hennekamp, for example, which was an Ivan von Fuser rifle daughter, but bred to a Nero daughter. Before I bought Delke, I bought Sira von Eselsberger, which was the mother to Wotan and to Santor. Now, Sira was also a Nero daughter, but she was also a Helena von Königsgarten daughter, which was, Helena is the full sister to Hassan, which is Amigo Kresbach, which is Eva's Eulenspiegel again. So she was also very strongly line bred. Santor was actually a breeding between Olio and Sira, which was a half-brother and half-sister. I only did this breeding after crossing these dogs, similar in line, not as tight, but along the same lines, and I seen that I really had no problems. And I also got characteristics and type that I liked. I also had Tim, which was bred to Sira. Tim was a Berno Remchingen son. Berno Remchingen was an Eva's Eulenspiegel son. So these lines cross very well.
Bailey fits in the Eulenspiegel line because he was an Eva Eulenspiegel grandson. What made Bailey such a great dog was, one, because he was inbred. It was a father-daughter breeding. And two, he produced himself. It seemed that it didn't matter what bitch we bred him to, he reproduced what he was. And that's because genetically his gene pool was small, so you didn't have a lot to stray from. And also he had 40% inheritance factor from Eva Eulenspiegel, which is the strongest that I know of right now that has been around. If there are stronger, I'm not aware of them.
Eva's line is not only responsible for such dogs as Nero and Dingo, Bailey and Tim. It also spawned a new kind of show, one that had never been staged in America.
When I first brought Tim over, there wasn't any Seeger shows. I did show Tim in Germany. And this is what sparked my interest in the German style of showing. When I went to the German shows, being used to the AKC shows, which were much more uptight, and I went to these German shows, I showed, Tim there, and geez, I had a great time. I mean, I truly had a great time, but what I really enjoyed, along with being able to show the dog off in a natural way it should be shown, naturally, and having the dog that's in condition and being kind of rewarded for it to some degree, and letting the dog win on its own merits. The year after I got Tim is when I started trying to promote this type of showing in this country. Every session, every month, we do something different in working, from carting to weight pulling to agility stuff to protection work to tracking. So what I want to do is try to get people doing something with their dogs and seeing, hey, these are dogs that should be able to do work along with looking good. One of the reasons I started these German-style clubs, too, was we needed a breed book, I thought. A history of all the dogs. Just by having pedigrees that said names didn't tell you anything about this. So you had to rely on people telling you what was good or bad about a dog, and that was kind of maybe not so accurate all the time. Depends on if the person liked the dog or what the person knew. So I thought we should do something like this and that in this country. These core books are, in my opinion, are extremely important. You don't have to go on hearsay. It's written down. These ZTPs and core reports are all put in the book. In this book, it's by unbiased people and judges that are supposed to be knowledgeable about the breed. They're experts in the breed. So they put their opinion of the dog in this book. So later on, you can come back to this book as a breeder, and not everybody can go all around the country and see every dog. So you have a real good general idea by an unbiased party what this dog looks like. You definitely have the information on his weight, his height, but more so than that, what you can do is you take a look at that dog and say, yep, dog sounds like he has the qualities that I want. Then you can look 2 years or 3 years down the road and say, hey, here's what this dog's produced. Is he producing the type of dogs that I want with different lines? Or does this line work with this dog and this other line does not work with this dog? And then from there you can choose, if you see that the dog that you've chosen or you'd like to maybe consider as a breeding dog partner for your female, and you see that similar lines to your female didn't work, then you might want to think about going to another dog. And now if they did work, then you say, hey, it's a good prospect. So it takes some of the gambling out of breeding. Breeding is gambling regardless, but at least you're putting the odds more in your favor when you do this. And you have some legitimate information from unbiased people that are experts in the breed. When I got interested in making a German-style club, this is one of the things, too, that we could put a breed book together and show and really have a good time at these events.
Those trophies you have to give back.
That was the first German-style show we did, was with the Rottweiler Performance Club. From there, I talked to Joe, and he was interested in the same type of thing. He'd been to Germany. I think in '86 I seen Joe in Germany. I think that's the same year he bought Santo von Schweigerwappen. So I knew, even though he was a pretty heavy AKC handler at the time, he'd seen what went on there then, and he also had an interest in the German style of showing. So, hey, I'll talk to Joe, and maybe we can get together on this, and exactly what happened. The first German show that was put on here with a German person was Zavar Meixner. Joe said, well, we're going to bring him down here. I think he wanted to go to Las Vegas or something. And they said, hey, let's do a show. Our very first show was with Peggy Woods. I asked Peggy Woods, which was involved heavily with the Golden State Rottweiler Club at the time. She judged our first show. And so when we brought over Meixner, it was quite a good turnout. People really had a good time. And at that show, right after that show, we changed the name. When the German-style clubs were started, the original idea, and it still is to put a program together to keep the Rottweiler and to make sure the Rottweiler is a show dog and a working dog all in one. I think that is the most important thing to maintain.
First name, Lori.
Since those formative years, the German-style show has become the favorite of many an exhibitor.
In the German style of showing, what happens, every dog is critiqued. In these critiques, at least you can listen and see what the judge liked and didn't like about your dog. Obviously, can only be one first-place dog, but there's really no real losers in a German show because ratings are given to each dog. And it depends on the class what level of rating you can get. If you have a V rating in a class, that means that judge thought you had an excellent dog. At least you have something that you can take home with you, and it stays with the dog the rest of his life. But a V rating is something to be proud of. An SG rating is something to be proud of. That means you're a very good dog. The judge clarifies why you're in the position that you're in, what he thought the minor differences were between you and the dog that would possibly beat you. It becomes a learning tool not only from the people who own the dogs, that are exhibiting the dogs, but also the spectators. By judging dogs as a judge in the ARB, when I judge dogs, it makes me look much harder at the dog. We give credit to working dogs. And by having the Gebroxzone class, it promotes working dogs. It gives people a reason to work their dogs.
That's up to you. That's your discretion. We start with this two. What is the name? Blinds. Yeah.
Dogs aren't the only ones who get a workout at these shows. German-style shows are as involved for the judges as they are for the competitors.
The German-style show has a judge who's usually a breeder of that breed. The judge must give a critique of the dog out loud and explain himself why he's doing what he's doing, why number one is better than number two, and so on down the line. In AKC, you're limited. You're not allowed to speak much. Those are basically the difference. The German show is more for education. I've apprenticed under 19 different judges, the ADRK judges all over. The German shows have taught me how to be a teacher. And when I judge the AKC show, I like to give everyone their money's worth and try to help them. And by judging the German shows, I feel this has helped me become a little bit better in AKC.
You get so many different judges, and they're from Germany, Austria, all over the world, Czechoslovakia, Poland, United States. I mean, it's absolutely impressive.
Overall, the dog should have a fuller bite. He bites, doesn't bite with a full bite.
Becoming a judge is no easy matter. Like developing a good dog, it takes years.
Ja, es ist ein langer Weg und schon viele Jahre zurück.
It's a long way back and it took a long time. With my first dog, I went to a training facility. I liked the sport, that I was working with the dog. I put a lot of titles on the dogs, Schutzen 3, IPO 3, and I trained with a lot of good trainers. I started helping other people train their dogs, as well as training other people's dogs for them and titling them for them. I trained obedience titles, tracking and bite work. I did all that for other people and for myself because of the sport, and I looked to exhibit dogs at trials and shows. The Austrian Rottweiler Club saw that I was good at it and what I was doing, and I was confident, and they asked me if I would like to become a Rottweiler judge.
99.
Sound judging takes a trained eye, a capacity for constructive instruction, and a confident manner.
When people come into my ring, I see it from both sides. Because when I used to show dogs, sometimes it was frustrating, and you'd wonder why in God's name did this judge do what he did. So when I judge dogs, I give many critiques in the ring. So the people who pay money to come, for my opinion, they don't have to stand and wait. I tell them ahead of time why I like their dogs, okay? And what I don't particularly care for that. They have a right to know. Every judge, in my opinion, should be accountable for his or her actions in the ring. I draw an entry because I'm controversial. I usually say what I think. When I critique a dog, I learned this from two great judges in Europe. One was Willie Hedke, and one was my very dear friend, Eric Walbrot. They're both passed away now. They told me, find the things that are wrong with the dog, but you must always find something good about the dog. There's always something good to find because everyone loves their dog. So you point out these things to the people that, all dogs have problems, some a little more than others, but there is always something good to find in a dog. So you must let everyone leave with a good feeling about their dog. This is important. When I judge, a lot of times it's in my heart because I know most of the breedings, I should say. And a lot of times I'll recognize these dogs by their eyes. It's just something to see when I look at them and I say to myself, I know you. I know your parents and your grandparents and so on. And it's a wonderful feeling.
But just because you're a judge doesn't mean that you have nothing left to learn. Even an old dog can do with some new tricks.
I spend time trying to educate the judges about our breed. Basically recite and explain the standard to the judges. A lot of AKC judges, unlike these type of judges, are what we call all-arounders. They judge anywhere from 50 to 100 to 150 different breeds, and they're licensed or approved to judge those breeds. That's a very difficult job. People don't understand how hard that is. And I'm not so sure I agree with that. There are very few people that can really know a breed as well as I know a Rottweiler and be able to judge 100 different breeds that way or that good. That's pretty far-fetched when you think about it. So you have to help them any way you can. And these breed seminars are an excellent way where you get a person like myself who's been involved for years and years and years, and we live, breathe, and eat these dogs, and we can stand up there and try to explain this breed to judges. It's good for them. It's good for them. Because the judges that I had, some of them were lifetime professional judges, and I think I could help them, every one of them, at least in one way or another.
But the nature of what's being judged is changing. Over the past few years, controversy has developed over the long-held practice of tail docking.
The thing that bothers me the most is the tails. I see many more real problems out there. Problems like dogs that are locked up, dogs that are transported without any water. For instance, cats are castrated because there are too many cats. There are all kinds of things going on, and all of a sudden they come up with, you cannot dock the tail anymore. There's nothing cruel about docking a tail. For instance, for the last 2 years in Finland, I've been seeing dogs with tails. You don't know where to start or where to leave off. Which is the right tail set? Some tails have hair, some tails don't have hair. It's a catastrophe for our breed, and we should rethink everything that we've done.
One of the most unique features of our breed is the fact that it doesn't have the tail, that the tail is docked. It doesn't affect the temperament or the breed, I know, and it really doesn't matter, but it just gives our breed that unique look, and to take that away from our breed, I think is unfair. I don't really think it bothers them physically. If it's done right, at the right age, I've docked many, hundreds and hundreds of tails myself. It's really not a problem. I don't see what the big deal is. And to take that away from the Rottweiler, to take that uniqueness away from him is unfair.
I think what worries me the most about the tail docking in Germany is that they're probably going to have to change the standard to fit the tail. What type of tail set are they going to want? And it really depends on what they choose as a tail set, and by doing that, it'll probably change the look of our dogs that we know today. People are going to be concerned about that tail set, and that's something that does concern me. Do I worry about Germany not docking tails? No, I don't really worry about that. I think now that they don't dock tails, we will not unfortunately be able to show our dogs in Germany anymore, which I think is unfortunate. And if the structure of the breed changes, if they change the standard, we're going to have two different types of dogs. And I've been asked what the ARV is going to do about this, because we do go by the ADRK or the FCI International Standard, and the ADRK basically sets the format for this standard. What we've adopted is we are choosing to use the standard that has been in play up to the point of tail docking.
The debate over tail docking is indicative of the degree of concern for the future of this special breed. If the breed is to prosper, key issues will have to be addressed, including that of bitches.
One of the biggest problems I have with AKC showing is when you're campaigning a special, that's an already champion dog. When you walk in the best of breed ring, the first word out of the judge's mouth is dogs in front, bitches in back. And I've campaigned a lot of bitches in my life because I prefer bitches to live with anyway. Unless the dog is perfect, I don't want him, I guess, so I take the bitches. But that to me really puts me at a disadvantage right off the bat. It puts the bitches, the girls, at a disadvantage, and I don't like that at all. I don't like that. That's wrong.
My females are every bit as good as my males. I see a lot of bitches that I almost would think, you know, if you were an outsider or a person who didn't know the breed, you would maybe think it was a different breed. I really think females should look like a female, but not like another breed. They should just be a smaller and somewhat more refined version of a male. Not totally different in head type, not totally different in body type. They should still have that, what the standard says. They should be robust and they should be powerful. It doesn't matter if they're a female. We're not talking about people here, which preferences for models are to be slender. We're talking about Rottweilers, and I think Rottweiler females should look like Rottweiler females. They should look as impressive, you know, to a degree as a male. Of course, a male is going to be larger and more substantial, but that doesn't mean a female should be too weak, or too feminine, I should say, maybe is a better word. I like my females to have strong heads. I like them to have good bone. I like them to have this good drive. Females have a different temperament than males in the work for them, you know, but that doesn't mean they can't work, and they should work.
We need to educate people that, and this goes into breeding, that the bitches are the essence of any breeding program. And like I always say, if you have the greatest bitch in the world and you breed it to the dog next door, you will get good puppies, some good puppies. But you could have the worst bitch in the world and breed it to the top stud dog, and chances are you're not going to get anything. So the bitch is really the essence of any breeding program, and more emphasis should be put on that.
Despite this, the Rottweiler community is thriving. More people are caring for these dogs than ever before. The quality of that care is best exemplified by the phenomenon of rescue leagues, organizations dedicated to saving these dogs from situations of abuse.
They bring into the ring pictures of the dogs that were rescued, what they looked like, and they're horrible pictures. And then the people parade these dogs and stand by the pictures. And there wasn't a dry eye around the ring. Let me tell you something. Those people are real heroes. They have these dogs. They take care of them. They love them, okay? They love the dogs.
For the Rottweiler aficionado, the future is looking brighter than ever, thanks in part to technology, which has helped to welcome a wider Rottweiler network.
I see that communication going on more and more all the time. I think it has to do with it's a sign of the times. It's easier to communicate. Everyone's on the computer now. Everyone's, you know, it's a phone call or an email away now you can communicate, whereas 10 years ago it really wasn't like that. So that's helping.
It's very powerful, isn't it?
Yeah,
just big full body Rottie coming dead on at you.
You have to be a Rottie.
And I always dreamed that someday I could do my art full time. And I released this in March of '93. Had no customers in one print, but I thought it was pretty good. And we've been doing this full time now for the last 5 years. And as you can see looking around in my booth, we've really expanded. Right now I think I have about 20 limited edition prints out. Line of clothing, clocks, t-shirts, sweatshirts, note cards, tapestries. And we just travel around the country doing what we love. We've got work booked through the year 2001. I'm not accepting any more commission work right now. I can't and catch up on the projects I want to do.
Lovers of the breed are everywhere, including a whole new generation of breeders, handlers, trainers, and judges.
Although dogs are always a part of my life, what really sparked my interest was when my father and I went to Germany and I seen the Korung done with the handlers, the owners and the handlers putting the work on their dog. Seeing that work really made myself think that this is something that I wanted to do and accomplish myself. The first dog I've taken 0 to Shih Tzu 3 is Genix Flash. He's basically the ground base of what I've learned. I've gone to 0 to Shih Tzu 3. I put an AD on him. I just recently put an FH on him. I put the Lifetime Korung on him. He's basically been my learning tool in my experience with Shih Tzu training. He's just so eager to please. He's my best friend. He's my pet. He sleeps in my room with me. He goes everywhere with me wherever I go. As far as training, I feel that we're a team and we work well together. He's waiting. All he wants to do is please me. And he makes it easy for me to learn all the aspects that I've learned so far through my short career of Shih Tzu.
Step out.
Everything that I've gone through so far, I have to say, I have to give a lot of thanks to my father. He's basically shown me what to do as far as helper work, as far as a trainer. My accomplishments that I've done with Flash, I owe it all to him. He's really helped me a lot. He's shown me the basis and the ground and what to do. I think I'm pretty lucky to have a father like that as far as what he's done with the breed.
Careful selection, proper handling, and of course, care. It all goes into making a world-class Rottweiler. Principles that will endure and ensure that this noble heritage continues.
As a first-time Rottweiler owner, my advice would be to educate yourself very, very thoroughly about the breed. Be ready to be a strong handler. You can be fair and firm, and you have to be very firm and fair and balance that out. Be good to the dog, and talk to people who know what they're doing in the breed, and participate. Be involved. Be involved.